Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to another thrilling episode of Living World of Darkness, Rage Across New York. In today's scene, in the wake of previous, wherein we were upon the training grounds and watching a good bit of shenanigans, Maeve has been in the company of Calls as the two of them walked off together, and once Lucas gave her a ring on her phone, which miraculously had the battery in it for once, she'll offer the lupus a chance at a steak dinner, which she doesn't figure any good lupus can turn down, really. And we'll show her the way, encouraging her to shift, because there are kin or there are people around that can get into the red bones. Can't be pulling that, sadly. And Idly wonders why we don't have a restaurant in a completely veil-protected area, because that would be cool. But she will lead Calls along to Red Bones, the get-run restaurant on the Sept, and go hunting out a table for them, settling in, probably ordering drinks at least, and waiting for Lucas to arrive. Though if Calls starts looking antsy, she will encourage her to go ahead and order food.
Calls will have been sitting relatively passively, but getting some. She's staring at the menu and hoping there are pictures.
There are pictures.
This is good.
There's a picture of this like bushy thing that's full of greens and like tomatoes.
No.
And there's a picture of this like meaty thing that looks like a thigh.
Yeah, she will have pointed at the meat, the option on the menu that looked like it had the most meat and the least vegetables or other non-meat things, and points to that one and goes, "I shall have this, please."
And when the server inevitably asks how she would like it cooked, Maeve will try to pipe up and offer the answer of as raw as you're allowed to serve it.
Yeah.
Though she'll cast a questioning glance Call's way to see if that is agreed.
I have enjoyed the cooked meat before, but yes, the rarer does leave it less damaged.
And fuck it, Maeve's getting steak as well, and we'll actually probably order one of the beers that is actually provided by some kinfolk or another, because those chain beers are just gross. That stuff on tap, it's gross. But some of the hoppier, mustier stuff, that's good shit.
After a few seconds, a few minutes of, if you guys want to go ahead and like banter or prattle, be my guest. But after some time, Lucas is going to go ahead and enter the establishment and go ahead and spy the two at some booth, dark corner, shady, or otherwise. And if they're not in the booth, he's just going to go ahead and walk over and, with his childagaistick, of course, and go ahead and point to our booth. Get one of the kinfolk servers to go ahead and make arrangements.
No, Maeve probably knows he prefers booths. Besides, booths are cushy.
Yes. So Lucas goes ahead and finally returns. He is, well, you can smell the sweat off of him. Apparently he's been on the training grounds for most of this particular afternoon. And when he goes ahead and collapses onto the booth, he just goes ahead and collapses. Mostly to go ahead and collapse on Maeve in a very, very comical fashion.
Maeve is going to quirk her brow as she is now covered in sweaty Lucas, and slightly nudge her beer towards him in offering.
He takes it, takes a swig, puts it back down. Okay. How you two doing?
Blink. Fine.
My state is also acceptable, although hungry.
Yeah, I think I saw number 16 floating around there somewhere, he says, and he goes ahead and like throws his arm, several droplets of sweat just goes ahead and splats onto the table, and he points, you follow, that is the server with the 2 steak dinners.
And Maeve will perk. She does that happy face people do when they see the server coming with their food. Because how can you not?
Yes. Lucas, for his part, looks envious at the food and goes ahead and shakes it off. Sherry, the usual, please. Thank you. Again, he sort of slumps, but is now sitting quite upright, hands clasped in front of him. And he goes ahead and looks at Calls and simply says, Calls, can I ask you for a story?
Which story do you require? You see her sort of pause over her food and take a nice big sniff.
Smells wonderful, at least. Also smells a little bit like just somebody went ahead and spread like plant smell on it, but not bad plant smell. This is still meat, of course.
She understands that sometimes homage choose to put extra things on their meat. Some of them are good, some of them just taste weird, but it's acceptable.
Lucas goes ahead and says, can you tell me about the night that you yourself, Maeve here, Senna, and Lily went to a bar and apparently went to track the worm?
I can tell you this story. I assume you perhaps have already heard it, though.
I've heard it a few times, but not from a Galliard quite yet.
I can recount it to you. Is there a particular aspect of it that intrigues you, or that you are interested in?
I'm interested in, quite honestly, all of it. I'll tell you if something pops in my mind that I want you to go ahead and like retell or recount, or if there's any detail that I want more explanation on. Pretty much just start where the particular adventure starts with you guys going out and ends with, well, before all the evidence doing. I prefer not to get into bloody details like now.
I'm a Galliard, not a recorder, but I can tell you the story as I see it, and you may see if you can find lessons in it, I suppose. She will be sort of frowning down at her plate somewhat, seem a little bit distracted, studying the things that are not meat. And then she will look over at Maeve's plate, and seems to have made a decision. And she will pick up her plate, pull Maeve's closer to her, and just gently slide the non-meat things off of her plate and onto Maeve.
Maeve will observe this with evident curiosity. Especially as her plate starts going away from her, she just kind of watches. She doesn't protest. She's just like, but, oh, wait, what?
Calls will slide it back. At this point, she will look up at Maeve. I understand that the non-meat items are part of the homage diet. They are not one that has sat well with me in the past. My sisters have encouraged me before to try new things. It has never worked out. I will stick to that which I know, and that which Gaia intended me to eat.
Oh,
But there is no need to waste it, and I feel you might be the best recipient.
blink. Okay. And she'll tuck her plate back over. And as it is story time, we'll settle in for eating.
Cubs need food to grow strong after all. And she will then turn away. So this story. So I was, as you know, we went to this bar that was apparently notified to us as a location where there was, I believe, of some suspicion. There were gangs there that had links to those who, or we thought had links to those who had hurt Chino's kinfolk. And there were other suspicions that perhaps proved true. I was not entirely knowledgeable of all the information and all the suspicions before we went. I was relatively new here and mostly just willing to help and wishing to get to know others. And it was informed to me that I should know more of the city. So we went. The location itself smelt foul. It was a simple place compared to many in this city, and the homids inside seemed also relatively simple, and almost, in fact I believe entirely male. They were also fairly simplistic males, I believe. We entered and moved to a location in a corner where we could be relatively defensible at this point, and I believe Cinna ordered some drinks and paid for them with the rather rude bartender. The drinks were also foul and also smelt bad.
There's a firm nod from Maeve's direction.
The other homids were crude but suspicious of us. It was suggested that perhaps to alleviate or make us blend in more, I believe Lily suggested we play on or interact with one of their tables. I believe she called it a pool table, and teams were formed. This apparently would make us fit in. There were other homids at this table interacting with it, so this did seem like normal behavior in this place. It was decided that, although it is perhaps of little note, I believe Cinna. Maeve, whose team were you on again?
I think I was with Cinna.
Indeed. Your memory ties with mine then, and I was with Lily. Lily was perhaps the most comfortable in this place. The young Maeve here, the least, perhaps other than myself. There were some of the males took this and clearly decided we must have blended in more because they decided to interact with us. Most crudely, but one of them met my eyes and took my challenge and stood. So I deemed him at least worthy to attempt interaction with us. whilst this was going on, there was, at an adjacent table, the one who it was suggested was who we should be paying attention to, and a conversation was had about the movement and trade of some boxes in the back area. And there were several people there who had apparently the markings of those who had attacked the kinfolk. From there we managed to leave the bar. We decided there was nothing more we could gain from this place without causing immediate danger to all for potentially relatively little reward, considering that the males of this place were relatively well armed, it seemed. They all smelt of metal and gunpowder. So we left and tried to move behind the building to this rear area where they said they were moving these boxes that were of interest to us. From there, things got a bit more exciting. There were 2 vehicles and several men loading these boxes into the metal cars, and there was some of these men, they did not smell. They did not smell good. I was able to ascertain the number that were down there. I believe it was 7. And Cinna and I attempted to scout closer and sneak to try and observe what was in these boxes, whilst Maeve and Lily guarded the entrance. Unfortunately, there was some disturbance and we were spotted. One of the vehicles just drove away, but one of the boxes fell off the back and smashed open. And I can't remember all of this. At this point, there were still men in the alleyway. I believe it was one, and another got out the car and attacked us. The one who leapt out the vehicle was a former vile creature of the worm. They were destroyed. I do not know, although I've heard there was other things at this point going on at the other end of the alley. We apparently created much noise in the destruction of this homid and the vile creature, and some people attempted to come out of the bar. Some more deaths occurred, and then we decided to leave before more attention could be drawn most quickly. So we grabbed the remaining vehicle, and with the crates of what now appeared to be, from the broken one, guns, the vile weapons of man, and we left and returned. Well, not directly to the Sept, as I'm sure you're aware.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let's go ahead and talk about numbers. If you can go ahead and remember the details. Can you give me the number of casualties on our side and the number of casualties on their side, as well as what we went ahead and looted from them?
There were no casualties on our side, but the 4 went, 4 returned.
Forwent, for return, or any injured?
Not of any great significance, no.
Nothing that could not be recovered in a short amount of time.
No.
Fair enough.
Of them, I do not recall. I certainly recall that the former was killed. I believe his body was dragged, and along with several others of the homids, was dragged into the vehicle and disposed of by, I believe it was Olaf and his contact with horrible, horrible, vile chemicals.
Lucas goes ahead and nods and nods. Okay.
Some most curious and strange people. Coles clearly looks quite perturbed about it.
The curious, strange people being... Which one does he have? Does she have that attitude towards when she's describing it?
When she's describing what Olaf's contact, I believe it's Jackie, was using, and the methods that Olaf was willing to use to do this stuff, she's looking a bit... Yeah, it's at that point.
Maeve is very obviously and studiously not listening to that bit.
The bathtub chemical bath. Gotcha. All right. So those of you that she went ahead and encountered, there was one Fomore, and the other one were mostly humans from the same organization that have planted themselves as enemies of Chino's kin.
As far as I'm aware.
Okay.
This is to my understanding. As far as things we took from them, we took the vehicle, which I believe Cinna managed to deal with in some way, so as it was no longer a problem for us. She had some contact as well. And then there was the crates of weapons, most of which I believe went to the bottom of the river. But one, I believe, was saved for Aaron, as he was... Some believed it would be useful for him.
Most of the time, he and his tribe are given most of the materials, most information, yada, 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 yada. And I also hear that he's the one to hit up for that particular operation against Full Force and or the Red Suns.
Yes.
All right.
I believe he acted shortly afterwards in relation to it. I have not been informed of the details.
You're not talking about the incident in New Jersey, are you?
I am not sure. I do not know where this New Jersey place is.
He goes ahead and holds up a finger. Hold on. I'm going to go ahead and offend some sensibilities and take out my smartphone at the table. I know, I'm a terrible, terrible person. You can go ahead and berate me afterwards. But Lucas goes ahead and actually does bring up a smartphone and goes ahead and trolls through a lot of different newspaper articles until he gets to the one where it describes the terrorist attack or explosion, whatever have you, of a New Jersey warehouse that was posted on the main page. He says, "This ring any bells?"
If you're just showing Cole the smartphone, she will look at you. Katori is trying to teach me the homoglyphs, but I feel these ones are rather small and rather many for me to follow entirely at this point.
Okay. I apologize. Maybe a picture? He goes ahead and tries to find a caption picture, but failing that, he goes ahead and again looks to Calls and says, I apologize.
As I
Maeve
say,
finally just kind of picks her head up and points the the cloud of smoke that was over that away. Way over that away. Right after we did our thing. That's what he's talking about.
I say, I have heard the tales, I have heard the whispers on the wind of such events. I could not recount those stories or verify those stories. They are not ones that I was aware of or have a part of or have been told directly into myself.
Alright. And, well, I say one last question, and then my curiosity will probably end there. Culls, how would you say the other members of the group went ahead and acquitted themselves? How did they act? How did they conduct themselves during that night?
Cinna was leading. She led well. Lily clearly was comfortable in this scenario and provided information and support to help us all blend in. She also acted when she could and when was necessary to destroy those that needed destroying. Maeve, I do not know so much of Maeve. She clearly, this, like myself, was not a place she found comfortable. But she was also the only cub there. She did not, perhaps, she was not particularly memorable for her contributions, but she did not put us at risk, as far as I'm aware, nor did she act in any poor ways. She was a part of the team. I am not there to judge or evaluate those. Our mission was successful.
Lucas goes ahead and nods. Indeed, it was. Thank you. Thank you for retelling the events as best as you could. Oh, and about that time, the waiter goes ahead and finally goes ahead and brings Lucas's own dish. Apparently, she was just waiting over there, out of earshot, because she doesn't want to get involved in the affairs of the Raya. But eventually, a plate goes ahead and plants itself in front of Lucas. It looks like a tuna, big old fish platter, actually. I know this is not the lupus, but it's almost a good substitute, almost.
I will say this to you, though, Lucas. If you ask me what lesson I would tell someone if I was telling, say, a cub or someone who wished to learn from our mission, I would say that having Lily there and someone who was familiar with the scenario was wise and a good decision, and it helped us where perhaps some of us may have gone astray. Having those who could sneak and could sense paid off and allowed us to use the situation later in the alleyway. Having those and having the wiseness to having the leadership and to pull us back and not just wade in was also good. Knowing when to flee and to take what we could and not try from reach for more. This was also wise. So, in all, I do not know entirely how missions run in this city, but those who posed us risk and those of the worm died, and this was good, and this was a victory. And We achieved what what was needed to be achieved, and from what we did, more could be achieved, as I understand it, and greater victories could be had. And therefore, this is a lesson of what can be done.
I'll take that. Thank you.
But I would ask you, you have heard the story. You have heard it from not just myself. What is your evaluation?
My evaluation of the entire affair. Starting off the beginning, you guys seem to go ahead and work into a nice bit of groove, even if you guys didn't have a mission at the front of your head. You had the idea to go ahead and wade into the waters and see what was there. It was due to, well, Lily being there, y'all being able to blend in even more so, to not draw attention to yourselves, to not present yourself as the furious warriors that you actually are. That's a bit of impressive, if you want to ask me. From there, it's very, very good that you're able to sense and track down a target, to find a target and follow them back, or at least find out where one particular operation was. Disrupting any operation of the worm goes ahead and benefits us because it sets the worm back. In this case, setting back some type of gun deal goes ahead and deprecates their resources, their arsenal, and makes them weaker the next time we go ahead and punch. And if intel from that went ahead and led to us striking against one of their warehouses and again decimating their resources and their arsenal, all the better for it. However, the one thing that I will go ahead and point out right now is the alleyway. Sneaking down the alleyway, he goes ahead and shakes his head. Now, I am a scout. I'm a very expert scout. When I go ahead and criticize, it's simply because I'm measuring up against my own particular abilities. Apparently, yourself and Cinna went ahead and approached down the alleyway in your war form, and that was, to my opinion, not the best plan at all. In fact, I think that's what ultimately led to y'all being spotted and having that confrontation. But after being spotted, after that confrontation, everybody that participated in the following brawl and melee acquitted themselves quite honorably. And again, this is my own personal opinion on how I would have had to done it at that particular point, but I was not there, and everything up to that worked perfectly. And you guys went ahead and fought very well, defended yourself, again, disturbed the operation. May have made a little bit of noise, but in the end, you're going to make a little bit of noise anytime you fight the worm.
Interesting. As one who tells the stories, it is always interesting to see the lessons that others see in it that you might not. And your lesson is a good one, in fact. I would admit, whilst as a lupus I am used to using my stealth and my skills to hunt prey, I have not particularly used them to sneak up and to spy in the way that we did. If you have such skills and would share them with me, so I could be of more use in such a place, for I feel your spying is perhaps more useful in a place like this, a place of the Weaver, than the true, pure stealth for hunt, as it would be in Gaia's free lands.
Absolutely. I'd be more than happy to show you how to keep a soft pull when prowling on these really, really hard streets. Anytime, hit me up in the training ground or come to the cabins. I'll give you a little bit of a lesson. See, myself, I was taught by some of the older and more elder Ragabashes. I had natural talent, but it was always very, very nice to have somebody testing me every so often. Sometimes I still see him in the mirror. And he goes ahead and like has this really, really far off glance. And he shakes himself up. But yes, anytime you wish to have a little bit of practice or some training.
I appreciate your offer. As I say, I am not a Ragabash, but as a lupus we understand the importance of the silence when hunting, and the importance of stealth when it is required. And I am informed the hunt for information is indeed the same as the hunt for prey. In fact, it may help us find our prey. It makes the process longer, but Hommids are more complicated than most of Gaia's other prey.
That is true, but Calls, let me just go ahead and say one thing. You know what really impresses me? What really impresses me is the ability to know a thing about people walking around you. I only opened up my senses when my first change went ahead and occurred. I did not realize that there was just so much things, so many smells, so many scents that goes ahead and follows around you. That's amazing if you've lived your entire life with this and are able to pick out something useful from here. In fact, I can pretty much tell that dear old Sherry over there has got 2 sets of perfumes on her. Perfume and cologne, actually. And I know that cologne's not hers.
The nose is a most wonderful thing. And if you have become to appreciate even it in even the slightest, you are more open and more aware than most Hommids. Most do not seem to use their nose anywhere near enough, although in a place like this it is hard. One wants to sometimes perhaps turn off one's nose in the stink of this place, but it is still one of our most valuable tools, one of our most valuable gifts.
That's what I'll ask you for instruction then, how to go ahead and use my other senses more.
Yes, this is a fair exchange.
Lucas goes ahead and takes his fork, goes ahead and slashes a piece of tuna off of the made cod and sort of stuffs his mouth. Oh, I've needed this. I've needed this so much. Oh.
But Maeve, if I may, I have one question for yourself.
She perks up.
The plants that we planted, as small as they may be, do you know if they have managed to still thrive, or whether the Weaver has choked them already?
Oh, the Weaver won't choke him there. Not at Olaf's place. I've gone over and watered him a couple times. I'm making sure he's doing it too. As long as they stay watered, there's nothing to keep them from growing.
This is good. It may only be the smallest piece of wild, and we may yet find more that we can reclaim. But we will...
I admit I kind of... Oops, sorry.
No, continue.
I kind of worried that it wouldn't count, since it's essentially a vegetable garden. Doesn't seem very wild, but I've started talking with the Kagikin, and I've done them a couple good turns, so I'm seeing if they can help me find one of those beautify the city projects where they'll take some busted area, some broken down place, and make it into a garden or a playground or something like that. See if I can get a hold of one of the gardening ones. It would be much bigger, I think.
Look up the Gramercy Conservation Project. The
Link?
group that's responsible for keeping Gramercy Park like the same for the last odd century.
Would it count if we were maintaining instead of creating, though?
No, but they'll have the resources and knowledges that you'll need. And
How
probably
do
the
I look
people that
them
are
up?
very interested.
Okay, how?
I can walk over there and drop a line or two.
That would be good because I don't have a thinky phone and I don't have a computer and I don't know how to use a computer. So
Did you just call it a thinky phone?
yes,
I, I, I swear you didn't at some point.
picked it up from Olaf.
Oh, that does make a lot of sense. But he goes ahead and stuffs his face even more.
But yes, there has to be several anyways. I have to do one for each month, so I'm already kind of behind. I'm just looking for something big enough to be acknowledged by a spirit. So
Well,
probably been easier if it actually involved the elders.
it is
I mean, I told them, but
it is
sorry.
hard to do things by oneself sometimes. We are, as wolves, not designed, perhaps, to do things by oneself. We can, but we always achieve greater things when we hunt, when we do things together. Wolves can take down far bigger prey as a pack than just as one.
It's true. I just, especially now with everything going the way it is, I didn't want my chiminage to have to affect the sept and all the people in it. If people want to help, I can use everyone who'd like to, but I don't want to give the impression that I require it, or they'll see me the same way they see Kachina now.
But
I'll tell you
surely
one.
failing is worse than asking for help. You do not necessarily need to involve everyone, but if you think there are those who could help you, even if it is surely just getting the information that you need if you say you are struggling with that. But asking for help and requiring help is not a weakness, if not if it helps you achieve things. A weakness is not seeking help when it's needed and then failing. I have not been here for all of what that weak Theurge did, but it seems that his failings to me were somewhat childlike. His refusal to ask for help and to do things within the correct proportion is that of a child overreaching itself.
You make a pretty solid point.
Go ahead and look. If you ask any kind of ragbash on the set, they'll tell you that Babe MacFionn, she's one of the good ones. Don't mess with her. But we all got an axe to grind against Kachina for a long ass time, actually.
As I say, I am only new, but he seemed to act more in my mind like a cub than one of his rank perhaps suggested.
He did. I was there for almost every single thing that went badly.
Starting with Black Hole.
Yep, that was a bad idea. And Ratatosk the same day.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
and the old man of the ocean, and some earth spirits, and I think individually the
Oh.
winds and storms, but I think the earth, wind, and storms he all paid. I think he paid the old man of the ocean too. I don't remember what the exchange was. I'll have to think about it.
Uh,
But
to be
but
quite
Ratatosk was the only
honest,
one I kept tabs on, really.
that particular Theurge, he had so many deaths running. It's probably a good idea just to keep it accounting, like to go over the books again. I mean, like
Yeah.
quite fucking seriously.
Okay.
I don't want to be like here 6 months down the road and get to hear about some fantastic new thing that we forgot.
Well, that's why all of the Theurges have been talking, to make sure we know all the things that he has failed to pay, so that we can, in one large moot of contrition, try to set it right.
I hope that goes well for all you.
All of us, it's a moot. Everyone's going to be there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hope we do it right. I already feel bad enough that I was there for all those deals, and that I didn't do anything to,
Stop.
I don't know, make him
Stop.
pay. But
Stop. It,
I
You
know,
it,
exactly.
Lucas goes ahead and takes one of his forks and goes ahead and places it in front of it. You stop that kind of thinking right now. You are not going to be held responsible for any of this shit, and you should not
Well,
be blaming any of the shit that you've done, because you've always been
I'm not.
forthright.
But regardless of any personal interactions, whilst this Theurge may have acted like a cub, he was not. He was of much higher rank, and you still are a cub. If perhaps
Oh,
not
I
for
know.
much longer, you still were. He should have been the one leading you. He is the one who took the responsibility, not you. He should have been teaching you the right ways. I think what he mostly showed you was, as far as I can tell, how not to do things. As long as you do not
You're
follow his
right.
example, I cannot see how the blame would fall on you.
It's not a matter of blame that I didn't do something I should have. It's just that now the whole sept is being affected. So it's not that it's falling back on him or falling back on even me for being there. It's hurting the sept as a whole.
He goes ahead and like reaches out and hugs the Maeve. Sweat's still,
Squished.
so the sweat is still there, but it's mostly been dried up. So you're pretty much hugging a very, very wet T-shirt, which is, has a unicorn on it because shits and giggles.
Let's be honest, Maeve is probably pretty used to Lucas's funk by now. They hang out way too much.
Mm-hmm. Goes ahead and like pats her head. Shh, shh, shh. Your heart goes out to your brothers and sisters, and it's such an enduring quality to me. Truly, you are empathetic to the entire nation. But, pat, pat. You'll get it done, I'm sure. Besides, he goes ahead and breathes in, breathes out. If one day a thundercloud decides to pop into the Seps Umbra, guess where you're not going to find me.
You would abandon your sept over this?
I did not say that I would be there. I just said that you would not find me.
But you would avoid dealing with this and avoid taking some of the sept's responsibility despite the fact you are a member.
I wouldn't say all of that. However, me, myself, I have a particular talent of finding myself in the right place at the right time to do the most good.
So you say.
So I say.
Coles is perhaps now looking at you slightly more suspiciously.
Which is proper. Totally proper. In any case, goes ahead and looks to Maeve. You know, I talked to my elder the other day.
Hmm?
Went ahead and found myself a bit of a Child Gaia picnic slash touch football event, and I got the chance to actually talk to Clashes today. I mean, excuse me, yesterday.
What'd you talk to Clashes about?
Oh, just a bit of training here and there. I wanted to ask him how best to capitalize on my particular fighting style. He gave me some pointers, but before he could go ahead and do anything, he went ahead and gave me a bit of an assignment. Uh, Maeve, can I ask you to go ahead and like watch me for the next few weeks to see if I get like angry or anything?
Yeah?
Good, awesome. And when I do, can you go ahead and remind me that I gotta write up the incident all up?
Blank. Okay.
Awesome, thank you.
Well, okay. Maeve will end up nudging the remains of her own steak in offering towards Calls. After all, with all the extra sides, there's no way she can eat the whole thing.
Calls will frown at her.
Hmm.
Me,
What?
I appreciate the gesture, Cub, but you should really at least finish your meat before you finish all your sides in future, if you cannot eat it.
Oh, I'll
The
take
meat
it home and
is,
eat it later then.
the meat is the most important after all.
Yes, ma'am.
Otherwise, firstly, the prey has died for nothing, and B, we all need our strength, always, and the meat is the most important to give you strength.
It won't go to waste. I'll take it home. I'll probably eat it later before I go to bed.
Course is gonna study you for a minute to see whether you are being totally honest with her or just placating her.
Oh, go for it. I mean, she's pretty straight up. Maeve does not have a reputation of being especially deceitful.
No, if she doesn't seem to be being particularly deceitful, then Cause will let it go, but she will
Nope.
definitely give you a firm looky look. You're getting stern-eyed.
Maeve's going to look innocently at her plate or something. I don't know. Don't look at the stare, though. Jesus. I'm just going to look here. Those are my hands. Yep. Definitely my hands. This is the mental uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Monologue. Like, yep, those are my hands. Oh, she's still staring.
Cause will eventually look away when she feels she has firmly imparted the seriousness of this to Maeve and
The
glance
severity
to
is
Lucius.
real.
Was there anything else you needed, or was the story sufficient?
Well, the story I'm mostly satisfied, and I thank you for coming.
This food was fairly tolerable. They did not destroy the meat. This is good. If neither of you need me any further, I will leave and continue some of the duties that Katori Raya has asked of me.
Oh, really? What you doing for Katori ride there?
He has asked me to take on some keeper duties. I am doing the best I can. I am mostly at the moment familiarizing myself with the different shrines of the sept and looking after them as best as I can.
Hmm. Well, goes ahead and points to the Maeve. Maeve over here has been tending to the different shrines of the Sept for, well, ever since she got here. Sure, she can help you out with that one.
Indeed. And she has already shown me some of her skills with the plants. The other thing I am doing is trying to make sure that the wild areas, as such as they are kept as pristine as they may be, and the traces of homage removed as much as we can. I may not be able to speak to the spirits as yet, but I feel this would certainly please them or make them less uncomfortable.
I think the place where I have found the most wild, I guess, energy or the sense of wildness is the conservatory. It seems like a pretty garden on this side, but if you step across, there's a surprising number of snakes and all sorts of things in there. So I guess be mindful, but it's definitely wild.
Oh, wild energies, it always just seems to flow. Half the time I think that the wild is just this big fluid thing that can't possibly be trapped up by any webs, and I know that's not true.
Calls frowns at Lucas briefly, and is choosing to slightly ignore this before turning back to Maeve. I will investigate what you say. It is not somewhere I have looked at too closely yet, but I thank you for your direction.
It's off eastish of the northern woods where the training grounds and such are. Perhaps a bit south, I think, but mostly east.
Yeah, she's right. You go up past the reservoir from the south end of the park. You go ahead and hit the training grounds. You go ahead and do a hard east turn. The observatory is pretty damn nice. Headed
Towards
up by a bunch of kinfolk. West, right. Which direction does the sun set again?
towards the rising sun.
Yes, towards the rising sun.
He goes ahead and points to Vosu. There, right, awesome.
Um, she looks thoughtful for a minute as if she's trying to memorize those directions and then nods.
I used to spend a lot of my time over there when I was a kid, and then afterwards when I was still a cub. Good people, real good people.
Well, as I say, I will leave you both if that is, if you have no objections.
Nope. Blessing of Gaia be upon you.
Nope.
She will nod to both of you and then turn and she will leave the restaurant.
Alright. Let's goes ahead and wipes his face for a hot second. Oh. So, what do you think about Nicholas?
I think that he needs one hell of a talking to.
Hmm. He needs a chance, an opportunity to go ahead and back up his bragging and his boasting, so that one, he either can justify all his boasting, or two, we have something to go ahead and show him and say, no, do it again.
He already has something to show him that he is not the best. He already has a failure. The
And
problem is that he's going to end up like Albert, and the cubs that come after him are going to end up catching shit for the things he does.
what failure is that?
You're joking, right?
Explain it to me.
Look, is he thralled?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I told Travis outright that it was stupid to only bring pretty much Aruns with him, and certainly to have a Ragabash and not send her on point, but still, he thralled. I know it's something that can happen to any of us, but still, you would have thought that would have been humbling enough. I'm not saying it's the worst thing he could ever do. I'm not saying it's a horrible, horrible... I mean, I know it's a horrible thing, but I'm not saying it's as bad as having killed Talia by his own hand or something, but I'm just saying that it's not like he has a perfect record. He doesn't have cause to boast like he does. When he was simpler, when he talked simpler, he was playing. And it was fun, and he was lighthearted. And I appreciated that he had hopes and dreams, but could still laugh. But these aren't hopes and dreams anymore. This is him saying things that are going to get himself in horrible trouble and get him hurt, and might get other cubs hurt because he's so loud about it. Might get Olaf hurt. He's not just
You're,
endangering himself by doing all that.
because I hadn't not said so. You're afraid that he will make some type of mistake that is so terrible that the entire Cub class, including the father, goes ahead and gets pulled through the ringer again, much like the mistake that Albert went ahead and pulled and the ramifications from that.
Yeah. I mean, we make mistakes. I understand. But Nicholas isn't learning and getting better. He's just getting worse. And I don't know what Ren's doing with him, but it's not fixed. And if he had snapped at anyone higher ranking than you, Olaf's ass would be in the fire right now.
Technically, if he had snapped anybody but me, he'd be...
Well, okay, true, but most of the Cleoths are fairly low-key. But yes, if he had snapped at almost anyone but you, that would have come back to Olaf. He's taught us proper etiquette. He's taught us many times over. Nicholas knows better. But Olaf would still be held accountable.
I believe that Nicholas Young's particular tenure in cubhood will be much longer than any of us, simply because he has the most to go ahead and just simply learn. He doesn't have the advantages that you did with interacting with the rest of the world, nor did he have the advantages that I did knowing much about the nation other than the 5x5 closet they locked him up in.
I know it was harsh, but he's not going to be able to interact with people any more now than he did then. I mean, he can try. He could maybe get through a street, but he's never going to be able to go up and order a coffee.
He may not be able to do that, but the sept. That is where most of his social life will go ahead and come from thinking themselves. I guess I'm just saying that all I'm asking for is just a bit of patience. Because I know that he's going to need it. Because I know that this is going to be a lot harder for him than any of us. And yes, he does have issues. Yes, his continual boasting will get himself in trouble. Let him get himself in trouble. He's allowed to get himself in trouble.
If it was
And
only himself, I wouldn't be as worried.
you are worried, I can tell that, but I do not think that his mistakes will go ahead and splash upon the rest of the class. And I do not think that Olaf will have to suffer another silver claw to the face. I hope, I plead.
It's such a huge backslide. He was better when he first got here than he is now. How could he
Sure.
possibly have gotten that much worse? Who's he been talking to?
He just goes ahead and raises his hands.
I mean, unless someone was purposefully trying to teach him wrong to make him an embarrassment, I can't imagine how he went from how he was to how he is now.
It might be because he has gone ahead and isolated himself. He goes ahead and boasts about how much time he goes ahead and spends on the training ground, but I do not hear about the times he goes ahead and sits down with the rest of the Bone Narkin over a hot trash can fire. Over a hot trash can fire and telling stories about how he interacts with them. That's not healthy.
Yeah, no, I'm going to talk to him. It's going to happen. And I mean, I feel like if I'm not punching him in the noggin at the same time, he won't hear me, but
Get Olaf to go ahead and punch him in the noggin and teach him about the importance of being social with the kinfolk.
you know what? I think I have an idea.
Mm-hmm.
I think I can get through to him.
Oh, you do
If
you?
nothing else, well, think of it this way. I mean, look at me. Am I someone you need to challenge physically to prove yourself? Would it prove anything?
I'll give you
Let's
about
be
3 more
honest.
months. I'll give you about 3 more months before I ask that. I answer that question.
Well, at least for the moment. Physically, I'm not even on his radar as far as challenges go. And at least I got a little of my faith back when he said that he would have asked me for wisdom. At least he knows that there are those who have it and that it's important. Now I just have to beat into his head that he needs just a little bit of it himself, because if he's not in balance, he can't possibly be what he wants to be.
Yep. I just wish he went ahead and understood that his path is longer than other people's paths. I wish he understood that. I really wish he understood that, because maybe he learned a bit of humility and patience himself. But it was really, really good to go ahead and see him win a fight. That was good for him.
I don't know if you can really call that winning. He was supposed to have, 3 shots? Took him in Glabro, missed all 3, or at least didn't do any damage, and only did it after his 3rd try in Krynos against someone in Glabro. By that point, he was just windmilling and embarrassing himself. I think that's the whole point of what Aaron was doing.
Mm.
I mean, yeah, in his eyes, he hit him, so he won, so all the other swings and the size difference don't matter. All that he's going to remember is that he won. But someone needs to point out to him that that does matter, that it does make a difference, that he needs to think. If he can use his brain well enough to talk better, he can start using it to think.
You know what? I kind of wish that he had fought a little bit better, actually, to be quite honest. I mean, I would have entered that fight a little bit differently.
That's the thing. He could have done so much better. I didn't hear the whole conversation leading up, but I think I got the gist. But he could have handled that better. And even when he did finally land his hit, and Aaron Raya was willing to give him the information, really, you asked a yes or no question? For all you know, Aaron would have thrown up his hands and been like, yes, they do. That was your answer. Good luck. And I saw him thinking about it, too.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to drag him out of the training grounds, tell him meditating doesn't count. That's not gaining wisdom. That's, I don't know, doing yoga. It's not the same.
The meditation, I can see that he's more in control of himself, but he's got to go ahead and use that control for something more beneficial than fighting. He's got to understand that, yes, you've gotten control of yourself. Now do something productive.
I mean, fighting is important for Narun, obviously, but even Chino doesn't rely entirely on his ability to fight. He knows when to bluff. He knows when to posture. He knows when to use his kin instead of barreling in. This is what he and Talia have that Nicholas doesn't, is the sense to do anything but try to bull rush in and punch the problem.
This goes ahead and nods. We did lose quite a valuable member of the Sept in Talia.
Maeve nods kind of faintly and drains what remains of her glass. Probably hiccups because that shit's fizzy. Ruining the entire the entire image there. And then shrugs. I mean, there's nothing to do about it now. Though, at least now we have Sid. And I need to talk to him. I don't even know if he'll have answers for me, but I gotta try.
That is true. That is true. Tell me if I'm like way off base. I mean, I have a tendency to misread or read too much into things, but when Nicholas went ahead and mentioned Talia, what did that do to you?
That was the worst idea he's ever had in his life.
Yeah.
At this point, this soon after it happened, he shouldn't even be mentioning that they were friends. He shouldn't mention her at all.
Okay.
He hasn't done anything to right himself after what happened. Maybe after there are other things for people to think of. But when that is the freshest memory we have of anything he's done, no.
Okay. I read that right.
Oh yeah. I'm pretty sure Cinna was furious. I don't know how she kept it under her skin.
Oh, I heard her growl at least.
I'm still pretty impressed that that's all she did.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's been willing to throw herself at Travis. I wouldn't be surprised.
Mm-hmm. In any case, what do you think about Culls, actually?
Calls?
Yeah.
I mean, she's nice. She's lupus. She's calls.
You've gone ahead and
She's definitely one of the people that I. What?
Oh, you've got yes, she is Culls. Yes, she is lupus. You're saying facts here, but I already know these facts.
I feel like I can trust her to speak her mind. I feel like she has a perspective that not all of us do, which I appreciate. And as a Galliard, she's pretty good about telling you what you need to know and making sure you get the lesson that's involved. And I appreciate that.
Lucas says, "Go ahead and nod." Okay, yeah, that's true. She's not as well, lyrical as others, but at least she knows how to tell the tale and tell it straight.
Yeah. I mean, her howls are great, but what do you expect? Wolves howl, they don't sing. I imagine that if she put her mind to it, she could sing, she could play an instrument, but it just doesn't seem in her nature. She's going to tell stories and she's going to howl.
That works for her. If that works for her, that works for her. I'm not insanely angry, am I?
What? No.
And I'm just checking myself. It's just like self-evaluation and self-bias are definitely definitely a thing. It's just when when Clashes went ahead and gave me that assignment, I was like, okay, and am I that angry or am I not that angry? Should I be putting more entries? Should I be like pulling in that one moment when I found my shoes just filled with piss because I was pretty sure that was Laughing Shadow?
It probably was.
I wasn't even all that mad about that one.
Lucas, you don't tend to get outwardly angry. If something bothers you, you keep it close and you cherish and nurture it until you have a chance to throw it in their face. But you don't tend to get like hot angry. You get like cold angry.
Isn't that just as bad?
I don't know. I mean, it can be worse, but you don't tend to let it get but so out of hand.
All right. But if something happens that I don't go ahead and flash hot angry, just go ahead and like give me a notice. Guess maybe cold angry is just as bad as hot angry. I don't know.
About that? She shakes her head a second. Probably shouldn't have drunk that fast. Cold angry can be just as bad if you take it to the same degree as some people take their hot angry. Just you don't. I don't know. I don't know what to even tell you to look for because I don't feel like when you get mad you get flushed with it. I feel like it almost comes across more like disdain. You just kind of get disgusted. The only time I saw you angry was when Albert fucking deserved it. And the only thing that kept me from coming out of that cabin was the fact that we had a fresh cub in there.
It was better for you to go ahead and focus your attention on the new cub rather than try to deal with whatever bug was up Albert's ass and why he was acting out like that.
But you see, like, based on him doing that, purposefully rubbing everyone the wrong way, why I'm so worried about what Nicholas is doing now. I don't know if he's doing it as much on purpose, but he's rubbing everyone the wrong way.
Okay. You go ahead and remember Albert, the way he went ahead and acted out, probably in the worst and back-ass-word way,
Oh,
rubbing
I remember all of
everybody,
it.
and you're
But
worried
yeah,
that Nicholas is like showing the same thing.
he's showing a similar symptom. It's gonna bring to mind the same sort of thing. That, or in my mind, I mean, if you're going out of your way, like, he can't possibly think that it's okay to do that, to talk the way he does. Not when he's constantly being told to shut up. Not when he's constantly being hushed and told that no, that's not right. He can't possibly think it's okay to just keep saying that. So all I can think is that he's saying it to get a rise out of people.
Hmm.
And that's the same sort of self-destructive behavior.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Maeve. I think I might be able to use that. I think.
She kind of
Maybe.
blinks. Maybe. I mean,
Maybe.
if it helps, I'm glad.
What's the rest of your day look like?
Uh, well, I did my daily chiminage, tended the shrines, tended the plants. Thinking on my next lesson with Addie. So, not much.
Okay. You want to wait until I get a bit more cleaned up and try for an outing at the beach? Yeah, I've been wanting to get out to the beach for a while now. Test out some new swim trunks and maybe a surfboard.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right. Lucas is going to go ahead and flash his hand, and instantly a check is going to be placed in his hand as if somebody was waiting to go ahead and give him the check. He looks at it. Okay. Brings out his wallet, slaps down a few 20s actually. Because Red Bones, it's a restaurant. It's a fairly expensive restaurant simply because it's in Central Park. And it also serves the fantastic meat that was just prepared. And it's in the middle of the goddamn city. So compound all of that, he is just making the tip with this. You got like, he goes ahead and sheepishly looks at maybe. You got anything to go ahead and like sweeten the pot?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. She'll go digging in her pockets, pull out her wallet. She still has some money left over from her work at the zoo. So she'll pull out enough, kind of peer over, plop down the cash.
Looks at it, looks how pathetic it is,
Hey!
looks at you. Did you quit your job?
It's probably more than he knows that the wallet's damn near empty afterwards. Do you really think I can go back in the zoo?
I don't suppose, no, but I don't see you getting another one.
I don't know what else to do. That isn't immediately interacting with people. I mean, I'm not Olaf. I'm not Nicholas, but still. At least there I was working in the back.
Oh, okay. He goes ahead and wipes his brow for a little bit. Sucks because you actually really liked the zoo. I could tell
I
that.
did. I really did. But I can't stand being near the bars anymore.
I'm sorry, Maeve.
Yeah. One more reminder that Albert's a dick. What you gonna do?
Yeah, he did leave a huge scar on us. If you want, we can try to work on that a little bit. And if you want, I can go ahead and try to find something that's a little bit better for you. Because quite honestly, you enjoyed yourself while you were working. I mean, working for the Sept and for the rest of the elders. Yeah, that's awesome. But you took a certain amount of pride when you went home with some money.
Yeah, I miss it. I really thought about the stables that the other park, but for one, it's a long way away, but for two, I mean, even the fences, I don't know. It's hard to
Yeah,
work with animals without being around cages.
a little bit of Lucas goes ahead and dies right there, but keeps it under wraps.
How far under wraps?
You want to roll for it?
I do.
Okay,
That's worth a roll.
that is definitely worth a roll.
Little piece of Lucas dies inside. No. I want to catch that. I want to at least try. God damn it.
3, 1, 3,
Not my finest, but not bad.
Defender wins.
Curse you! If only my 10 had popped. God damn
If
you
only.
won. God damn you won in requiring that I take the highest success. Nope,
Really,
she
is
won't
that
catch it.
really is that the role that you have to take the highest success?
I don't know. Somebody mentioned somewhere that you had to like if you had a 10, that's the one that had to be canceled out. But if that's not the case, my 10's popping. God damn it.
Okay, let's go ahead and for this case, go ahead and you see a little bit past his charade for the moment. With one success. Based on the previous part of this conversation, the way that he's been talking, he's sort of, again, lamenting the fact that another opportunity has been barred to you.
If anything, she just kind of looks briefly sympathetic. Because, I mean, obviously she's feeling it, so.
In any case, like I said, the only thing I can really do is go ahead and offer you some things to help you out in whatever way you want to go ahead and deal with this. I don't want to, and I can't go ahead and force anything on you.
Well, no, I mean, I just want something I can do. I'm not looking for a ton of money. Just enough to pay for the materials I'm going to need.
You had a talent for glasswork, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's a like an arts or crafts firm or organization or whatever that needs that kind of talent, that kind of skill set. Maybe find yourself in one of those places. I mean, you wouldn't have to interact with a lot of people, maybe a few customers here or there. But if you were taking like commission work, at least that could help you out.
Yeah, I don't have. We decided that the Glassworks never got blue booked, so it doesn't exist on Sept.
I know.
So, anything that gets me access to the tools, I have the glass, but I don't have, well, the right tools to go with the forge. Or the right kind
Okay.
of forge, really.
Okay. But again, go ahead and tell me what you really, really want. That'll help me out a lot more than me guessing.
I guess, I mean, the whole animal angle is pretty much out at this point. I wouldn't mind if there were jobs like where they upkeep the park. I know that the keepers do it anyways, but an actual job doing it, I know they're employees. Or if I could get access to a glassworks, I mean, do they have farmers markets in the city?
He goes ahead and like nods. That yeah, they do, but just not on Manhattan.
Oh.
Believe me, back in the day, I knew a few grocers, a few farmer markets, a few just fairs that went ahead and rolled around, but never on Manhattan.
yeah, even, I mean, all things considered, something on Sept is probably what I have to do. So unless the elders suddenly have a burning need for sun catchers or wind chimes or really fancy goblets or something.
Mm, I wouldn't go ahead and simply restrict my options to the Sept. There are several cubs in the past that were given a little bit of leniency to go to the place of learning, as Katori went ahead and put it.
Well, I've heard sometimes that colleges have workshops like that. Do you think the ones here do?
I absolutely think so. And you might be able to get a job teaching. I mean, it's more technical field, but if you got the talent for it, I don't see any reason for them to turn you away.
Even as an aide or something, if it gave me access to the forge, it would still be worth it. I could still make things. I'd probably make a little bit of money.
There you go. You really hold that much disdain for Albert, I guess.
Not because of who he was as a person, but because of how much harm he did and how little he realized or cared, one or the other, how much harm he did to the people around him. Even if you don't understand the concept of us all being a pack, it shouldn't be that hard to understand the concept of being family. Or even just friends. You don't do that to people you care about.
Nope, 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 nope. In
I
any
mean, it wasn't
case,
like a slap on the wrist. It was like, here, risk death. But it's not my fault, guys.
I'm gonna let that go. I'm gonna let that particular thought go.
Shrug.
I'm gonna let that particular thought go, and you know what I'm gonna do?
Right about how you just got angry?
Did not get angry.
Oh, that
But
was a
what I'm gonna
guess.
what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and clasp my hands to your ears, and go ahead and blow and give you the sensation of blowing waves.
Okay, I'm derailed. I'm dead. Pup, pup, pup. Whap, whap. Come on, we paid. Now we're just being jerks and holding the.
Yeah, yeah, we are being jerks and simply holding up the table, because this is gonna go ahead and slide out of the booth.
And she will follow.
All right. And Lucas, with his now very, very much dried self, but still completely covered in his own scent, is going to go ahead and rendezvous over to the cabins to go ahead and wash himself off the rest of the evening.
Yep. Maeve's gonna head the same direction. And so, it's probably fair to say we can close this scene and say thank you, players, for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching as we reunite in Living World of Darkness, Rage Across New York.